Manuscripts for Parashat Yitro. This is Rob Van Hoff, and we're going to look at just a few verses today from Exodus 18, verse 19, and then just a couple words from verses 20 and 21. The two manuscripts that you're looking at here, the one in the background is the Washington Pentateuch that dates to the 10th century. The fragment you see in black and white, this is actually a special lighting infrared because it's such an ancient text. It's faded so much. This is a Paleo-Hebrew section from Exodus that we're looking at, 4Q11. So it's from Cave 4 at Qumran. It's dated to the Hasmonean era. So this is during the Maccabean reign. A fragment from Exodus. Sadly, we don't have much of it, but we do have a little bit from Parashat Yitro, which begins with Exodus 18. But we're going to look just at a few verses here because it's what we have to compare. The Hebrew we're going to see here is at the top from verse 19. So Exodus 18, verse 19, and it says, Ata, Ata. Now this is Ata with an ayin, not Ata with an aleph. With an aleph, that would be the second person masculine singular pronoun, right? Ata, you. But this is Ata with an ayin, meaning now. And then it says, Shema b'koli, hear my voice. Who's speaking right here? Maybe you know. This is Jethro. This is Moses' father-in-law. Hear my voice. Listen to me. Well, why is Jethro saying this to Moses? Because he's watched Moses all day long judging the people. And he says, you can't keep doing this. It's going to wear you out. It's going to wear the people out. I have an idea for you. I'm going to give you good wisdom. So he says, Ata shema b'koli, listen to my voice. And we'll see the imperative here, shema, shin with a shava, mem with a patach, and then an ayin, shema. That's exactly the vocalization of the shema from Deuteronomy 6. It's an imperative, listen. And we're given here an indirect object, be-koli. Bet with a dagesh and a shava, that's our preposition be. Kuf with a cholam, that's the bekol. Lamed with a hirik, which is the E sound, and a yod, bekoli. Ata shema bekoli. Now, listen to my voice. Well, it just so happens that we have this fragment. We have this phrase in this fragment here from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's in Paleo Hebrews, and it's hard to see, but what I want to do is I want to take you through, and I'm going to write it next to, right above, so you can see it first in the Paleo Hebrew, but then you'll be able to see it because, again, as I write it in our Aramaic block script. So we're starting right here. And this is, again, this is Exodus. Now, they didn't have chapters and verse numbers back then, of course. Even with our Masoretic text in the background from the 10th century, we don't have chapters and verse numbers. But in today's Bibles, we're going to call it Exodus 18, verse 19, begins right here. And it's tough to see, I admit. This is an ayin. Directly, I'm going to kind of mimic what's right below. So see this is an ayin. And the ayin was just a little circle. Originally, it was an I. That's where we get the word ayin. Then we have a tav, which has this kind of length like that and a thing like that. Ayin, tav, and then a hey, which looks like that. Ata. Now, in block script, the ayin, we do that. Ayin, tav, and hey. So that's our ata. That's the word we see right here, ata. Now, of course, there's no vowel points because people know what it is, ata. Then we have a little bit of a break here, but this is our word shema, and we know we have an ayin, the last letter, and we can see a little bit of the mem. See, this is the mem right here that's broken, and the sheen is completely gone, but it's going to look something like that. So basically what we have here is something like this, Oops. Shema. And what helps us know for sure is that this is this string of consonants, Shema, or Ata Shema B'Koli, only happens here in all of Scripture. So then this word here is nice and clear for us. It's that's our bet. Then we have our kuf, except I made it a little long there. It's really shorter back here. Yeah, that's even a little long. Then we have our vav, our lamed, and our yod. Bet, kuf, vav, lamed, yod. Well, one thing we'll notice is in the Masoretic, we'll have a dagesh, a shava, a cholam, and a hirik. But if we compare this bekoli with what we see here, notice what we have here is bet, kuf, lamed, yod, bekoli. So we have an extra letter. So this one's our Masoretic text, our Washington Pentateuch text. But we have in our Paleo-Hebrew Exodus, we have this extra vav, bekoli. It means exactly the same thing. So by having this vav here, and I'm going to erase these so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, go a little finer point maybe, this letter right here. This letter vav. Or we just write a vav like that now, pretty much a vertical line. That is making the O sound. Bekoli, bekoli. So there's no difference in meaning here. We have ata, shema, bekoli. Now, hear my voice. That's the beginning of Exodus 18, verse 19 in Paleo Hebrew. So this is, by dating it to the Hasmonean era, that means it's from the 2nd century BC. 2nd century BC. So by the time Yeshua was born, this conceivably could be already 150 years old or more. That's how old this manuscript is. A couple of other words that stick out that we can make out, because now once we can identify that this is Exodus 18, this fragment, it can help us see some of the other letters more clearly. And what I'm going to do, I'll shift here, and we're going to look at this word. Basically, he says, hear my voice, I will give you counsel. V'hi Elohim imach, Elohim will be with you. You will go to the people, or go to Elohim on behalf of the people, and you will bring, it says, V'heveta ata et hadvarim el ha'Elohim, you will bring the matters to Elohim. And at this, and v'hiz harta, you will warn them of the hukim, the statutes, ve'et hatorot, and the Torah, and the instructions. Remember, Torah can just mean instruction. Well, while a lot of this manuscript is broken, we can see, I'm going to draw your attention here to this word right here, what I'm underlining. That is ha-torot veha, or vehodata is what we're going to see. We see a vav and a hey, and I'm going to trace those out here so you can see them. So this here, now this time I'm writing, well, I'll write above still, like I did. So there's our hey. Here's our tav. There's a vav hidden here, back here. And then we have a resh, which looks like that. Then we have another vav. And then we have another tav. Then we have another vav here. Oops. Oops, I don't know what I just did there. Accidentally drew a line or something. Here we go. There's our vav. And then we have another hey right here. So what we see is ha, torot, veha something. Well, when we look at the Masoretic text, we can see that it's this word here, vehodata, and you will cause them to know. So if that were to continue, vehodata. Oops, I forgot the ayin in any case. But that's broken off. But this is ha-torot from verse 20. Well, if we compare, here we have in the Masoretic text, which I'll write above here, we have hey, we have tav, vav, resh, tav. And the vocalization, we have hey with the patach, that's ha, dagesh in the tav, ha-to, cholam, ha-torot, another cholam for the torot. That's a feminine plural, ha-torot. But notice, so this is our Masoretic text, or from our Washington Pentateuch. Well, notice here we have two vavs. We have a vav here and a vav here, which is here and here. Ha-torot. What does that mean? It means, again, that our Paleo Exodus here is using a vav as an O sound, where the Masoretes are happy using just a cholam. So again, just like with Bekoli, if I wrote it over here, you could see in the Masoretic text, we have Bekoli like that. In the Paleo Exodus, we have Be, in my transliteration into square script. Maybe I should do it this way. Here's our Masoretic text. Here's our Paleo Exodus. Now, of course, I'm not using Paleo. I could try. It would be something like this. Oops, I messed up on my yod. Something like that. But the point is that we have this extra letter right here. And in the same thing, we have in the Masoretic text, we have Torot, like that. But in Paleo, we have Tav, Vav, Resh, Vav, Tav. So in both cases, we're using a Vav to make a O sound, whereas in the Masoretic text is simply using a cholam. Another cool word we have here is from Exodus verse 20. We have, here, I'll erase this bit here, is we have the word asher right here. There's our aleph, sheen, and a resh, asher. So in our standard block script, it would look like that, asher. Ya'asun, Ya'asun. And here's our Paleo Yod, an ayin, a sin, a vav, and a nun. And in block script, that's Yod, ayin, sin, vav, nun, sofit, which they will do. So that's the end of Exodus 20. You will show them the the ma'aseh that they will do. Asher ya'asun. And that tracks perfectly with the Hebrew right here. Asher ya'asun. Asher ya'asun. The last little bit is going to take us to the middle column of the Washington Pentateuch. It is where it says Anshe Emet. So remember, this is all the words of Jethro to Moses as some sort of wisdom. And what we're going to look at now is this little word that we see here. It's hard to see right there. And this is from Exodus 21, and it's Anshe Emet, which is men of truth, right? Because Jethro's saying you need to rely on other people. You want to have men of truth around you that you can train up and let them share this load. Let them help people learn God's will. What we have here is, again, this is from Exodus 18:21. We have the Aleph here. And then the noon is kind of trapped. We don't see it. It's inside that tear. The sheen, but we do see a little bit of the yod right here. That's this character right there. A little bit of that yod. In block, that's going to be Aleph, Nun, Shin, Yod, Anshe, and then we have the word Emet, truth. There's our Aleph. We have our Mem and our Tav, which is Aleph, Mem, Tav, like that. Anshe Emet. And so here, the Masoretic text and the Paleo-Hebrew match consonant for consonant. So what we've looked at here today is, I just realized I didn't have that up. Here we go. Anshe Emet. Down here, that's what I was focused on right there. Sorry, I had the screen off while I was writing. So I'll write it one more time here. So here's our Aleph is here. Our Nun is missing due to this fragment. The Shin is missing, but we see a little bit of the Yod right there, kind of tracing it out. And then again, I can do the word Emet. That's our Aleph. Here's our Mem, and there's our Tav. Emet. So again, this is 4Q 11. This is called this manuscript. So 4 means cave number, right? Q means at Qumran. And then the 11, that's the fragment number or manuscript number, 4Q11. And that is available for you to look at yourself from the Dead Sea Scrolls library or website. Well, once again, I hope you find this little excursion into ancient manuscripts fun and educational as well. Today we looked at Exodus 18, a little bit from verses 19, 20, and 21. And we noticed, like we've seen before, a use here in the Paleo of a Vav for an O sound, where the Masoretes don't use one. But again, there's no difference in meaning between these two fragments, at least the phrases we've looked at today. No difference in meaning. I hope you all have an awesome Shabbat.